call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Maurer.
Here.
Mr. Thomas.
Here.
Mayor Breeden.
Here.
Mr. Martin.
Here.
Ms. Stevens.
Here.
5 present. We have a quorum.
The next item is approval of the agenda. We are pulling one item, number 3. So we will not be approving a resolution to authorize an award defense construction contract. So without that item, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move.
Second.
I don't see the screen up. There we go. Please vote.
I don't see it.
I don't see anything either.
Yep, it's not on our screen.
It's behind us.
Okay.
Go ahead and vote.
Do we all vote right?
5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, the next item, I'd like to lead us in the pledge, so if you all will join with me, please, and stand, place your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if you would remain standing, please.
I'm going to ask if Pastor Linwood Cohn would be so kind to come up and lead us in our invocation tonight.
Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for our city. We thank you for our wonderful country. Truly, you have shed your grace on the United States of America. We thank you for our city council members and their hearts of service. Thank you for how they serve our community. And thank you for every member of the community represented here. We pray, Lord, that you will help us to seek peace and truth, and that you would smile upon tonight's proceedings and upon our city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Please be seated, everyone. Next item is public comment. Persons wishing to address the council that are within the council's jurisdiction and do not already appear on the agenda may do so at this time. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the City Council may not take action on an item that does not appear on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes. The public comment section of the agenda is limited to a total of 1 hour. Each speaker is asked to provide his or her name. Please identify yourself and come forward, please. Thank you.
My name is Tom Rafalski. Tonight I want to call everyone's attention to the table in the front. The date on this table tells the complete casino story from A to Z. The report includes the quick summary, the full report itself, and latest casino updates as of August 2018. Key sections include the greatest land grab and water grab in U.S. history, major legal issues, DOD serious issues, local DOD anti-casino testimonials. Other sections include major objections, community impact, churches, and schools. This 150-page plus report took 2 years to compile, and it explains an extensive amount of what many consider alarming facts. It contains input from more than 100 local citizens who participated in the research process and more than a dozen business and community leaders who helped compile the data. All the major participants are identified on the stand-up display entitled Research Team and Contributors. The report has been online for several months with more than 1,500 visitors in the last 20 days alone. It will remain online for the entire community to get up to speed on this issue that threatens our town. The report is easy to read, has a table of contents, and all facts and figures data can be verified. All articles are referenced and internet links included. The report makes the point that this is not a done deal, despite the developers' propaganda. This bad deal can be stopped now, like it was stopped in Hesperia, Victorville, Barstow, Richmond, Vallejo, Long Beach, Garden Grove, and many others cities who just said no. The fact is we are only at step 1 in a 4-stage complicated process that is years away from completion. First, the Department of Interior must take the land into trust. It's been 2 years and with very little action from them on this request. Second, a full NEPA is now required, and that can take 1 to 2 years. And thirdly, a state compact will have to be signed with the governor of California. The process is a long way from being done. This casino can and should be stopped. Former base commander Mark Storch has stated the tremendous risk to our town due to future BRAC issues, and 4 former technical directors have weighed in. The entire faith-based community of our town is saying no. Additional formal objections are being prepared, and the public has continued to call and write the mayor and city council with formal complaints. This 150-page plus report, completely detailed in every way, will serve as full legal documentation if this threat continues to our town continues. Right now, there are 12 legal reasons to not deny the tribe's application, 5 potential breaches of contract in the MSA, and more than 50 major objections. In short, this casino is a direct threat to you, the citizens of Ridgecrest, to your water, to your land, and to your property values. In our city livelihood, the Navy base, our young sailors, and our local businesses also will be impacted. If you care about your neighbors, your town, and your property values, I highly recommend you take a few minutes and at least read the quick summary. In just a few minutes, you can then make your own database decision. Once again, the whole report can be found online at noridgecrestcasino.com. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Council. Mike Neal. Well, I'd like to add a little detail on top of what Captain Storch had to say at the last meeting. These are his basic comments, and these are in the report that is available also. He said the Navy at Channel Lake doesn't need a casino immediately outside the front gate. Nothing says we don't care from the community to future BRAC commissioners, for example, regarding the community's view of the Navy than a casino. It is cynical on the community's part. Why would he say that? Well, listen to some more facts. The House Armed Services Committee is growing increasingly concerned about base security as it pertains to real estate immediately surrounding high-security DoD facilities. One presidential order blocked purchase of real estate near the Naval Weapons System Training Facility in Oregon, and the military closed a Nevada casino at a cost of $11.45 million for base security purposes. Those purposes were barracks and sensitive military operations are located in close proximity to the former casino property, and this was no longer acceptable under current security policy for military bases. Research indicates the government also purchased properties adjacent to Fort Meade due to heightened security concerns. Why would they do this? Maybe there's a problem brewing somewhere. Here's other problems a casino, especially in a small town close to a high security base like Channel Lake, can solve. The issue of homeland security. Espionage risk increased since the land purchased to build a casino is adjoining base property and less than 3,000 unobstructed feet from top secret military critical weapon laboratories. I can tell you with the right telescopes from 3 or 4 stories up, you can see every single thing that goes on that range. Sovereign nation immunity supersedes base authority. Casino operations could end up a major problem for the Navy since the Channel Lake Police, Naval Criminal Investigative Service, the Ridgecrest Police, and Sheriff have little to no jurisdiction on sovereign nation lands and matters. And, oh, by the way, I think that the fire problem was also pointed out in the letter from Captain Paul Dale, and how would they respond to that? Not addressed so far. How about the young sailors on the base? Gambling at the front gates of the base? One bad night gambling and a bad credit score, bad finances, could wreck the entire military career of young sailors. How about the recruiting efforts that we say we support so avidly on the base? Numerous ESDPs, students, and young families have pledged to move out of town if this casino moves in. I came here to our beautiful remote desert community because we are a high-tech base with a family-oriented town. And how about just the risk to the base? Sovereign land rights are forever. No protection against future owners or future businesses. The city nor the base has any control as to who the current developers may sell to at any time in the future if and when this current casino doesn't work out. and serious future BRAC concerns, which is what Captain Storch essentially was talking about. A casino at our front gates and our base with a significant water shortage problem are two very serious conditions that could have a very detrimental impact on future BRAC decisions. BRACs are a big deal. If you're around for the last one, you know that. And all of this information and a whole lot more is documented in the NoRidgeCrestCasino.com website and the report on there. We need to listen, as almost 6,000 people on Facebook post have, to Captain Storch and keep Ridgecrest a base-friendly town, or we could end up a semi-ghost town. And in addition, I'd also like to verbally recommend Scott Heyman for City Council. People who listen to me and agree with me, I'm supporting him and him alone for your vote for City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi there. I am Scott Miller. However, tonight I'm going to be channeling our friend Chip Holloway. So I'm going to try to mimic his voice. I think Scott Miller from the City of Ridgecrest. This weekend is our fair. It's the best little fair in California. We have all kinds of things going on out there. We have Life in the Fastlane, Eagles tribute band, Big Bad Boogie Rock. It's an 70s and 80s disco rock. 60s Summer of Love, the Shillelaghs, local band. Crazy carnival food, roadside rides galore, family-friendly environment, junior livestock show and auction on Saturday at 4 p.m. The ground acts. If you've never seen the NASCAR experience, I'm not doing Chip's voice at all, am I? If you've never seen the NASCAR experience, I highly recommend seeing out the NASCAR experience. We have the Street Drum Corps. If you have ever seen the Street Drum Corps, they have been on TV. I think they actually played at the White House, if I'm not mistaken. They've been on numerous TV shows. This is going to be an awesome event, and I encourage y'all. I'm going to try to do it now. I'm going to encourage y'all to come on down there to the fair this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, here in Ridgecrest. Thank you. And Scott Miller will be right back.
You didn't do a very good job imitating him. You did what he did, but you didn't sound like him. Thank you. Sir.
Hi, yes, I'm Lynn Whitcomb, address on file, Mesquite Avenue, Ridgecrest. I'm part of a group of 16 pastors in Ridgecrest that oppose the casino, and I'm not going to read from the letter that we have. I'm going to submit that to the City Council. You've all heard it before. And actually, I'd like to commend Scott Miller and the chairman of the tribe after the meeting. A couple of weeks ago, we had a very friendly conversation. We had some friendly email exchanges. And I would just like to emphasize that my objection to the casino is not personal. It's not about them. It's based on principle, but it's also based on my personal experience, and I wanted to go into that a little bit more. So the pastors that have signed this letter, representing 16 churches, believe that there are moral issues at hand, but in addition to that, there are effects that will come to play in the community. One of them is elder abuse, and one of them is prostitution, increased prostitution. And we're not making that up. You don't have to do much searching on the internet to see articles from nationwide publications and organizations that say that. And the reason that caught my attention is when I first started getting involved here, the Pechanga Casino was mentioned as a good example of what happens when there's an Indian casino in a town. And I thought, you got to be kidding me. That's a good example? Because my family was deeply harmed by Pechanga Casino. And without going through a long story, I brought with me the restraining order that we have against a lady who victimized my dad. He has Alzheimer's. He's now living with us. So the restraining order is against elder abuse. And this particular lady was a part of a massage parlor that was shut down by Orange County law enforcement. But then what they did is they gathered themselves at Pechanga. And Pechanga targeted elderly clients by sending out big glossy color postcards for them to come early in the morning when everyone else is at work during the week. And if they would come, they gave them, my dad would get $300 in free chips and free beer. So they'd go there, And then these ladies knew that they were there. So I have pictures in private investigators' reports that we paid for that shows my dad with these ladies in Pechanga and these ladies hanging all over them, and the narrative of the private investigator who is able to watch the whole thing. So first we got, this is a long story made really short. First we got a temporary restraining order. The private investigator attempted to hand that to the head of security of the Pechanga Indian Casino, and he refused to honor it. Then we went to court, went through the whole hearing, witnesses, and the whole schmear, and we got a permanent restraining order, and that's what I have. So then my brother went to Pechanga and attempted to hand the restraining order to the head of security at Pechanga, and he refused to accept it or enforce it on the ground that it's on sovereign nation territory. And so again, I appreciate what Mr. Miller has said and what the chairman has said to me, but my concern is when you set something up like this, there's a confluence of bad conditions that are taking place. There's a casino with its greed that it fosters and the cast of characters that attracts. But then there's also like a sanctuary city type of thing, a sanctuary where people like this particular lady who is a known prostitute can go and victimize elderly people, and they're immune from being stopped. I don't know why she was stopped, frankly. Eventually, soon after this, the restraining order is dated May 31st, 2016. Eventually, my dad's condition declined so bad that he's now with us. At this time, we were trying to make that happen. He was not. It's not easy, but that's our experience. And when I've shared that before, I've heard people say, "Well, it's their own free will, and the family needs to do this." We get that, and as a family, we did. We spent a lot of time and effort and money to bring this to pass. But my concern is, again, not personal, but there's a set of conditions that will make it ripe for elderly senior citizens like my dad who have dementia to be taken advantage of. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Scott, let me make sure. Sir, can we say that he is not Scott? He wasn't Scott before, and because he was doing chips?
You can use your discretion to let anyone you like speak.
Okay. If anyone else, because it doesn't appear that we're going to get a whole lot, if anyone else would like to speak again because I'm allowing him, I will do it, but we will cut it off at the hour. Okay, sir, you are not Chip.
I am not Chip. Thank you, Madam
Okay.
Mayor. My name is Scott Miller. I live here in the city of Ridgecrest. There is a lot I'm going to try to say. I'm going to be as concise as I possibly can. The information that was just presented, I have 3 questions. And Madam Mayor, I apologize in advance. As you said several years ago, you did not want to make this as a debate. Unfortunately, it's now gone to that level. I'm just wondering if the information presented there, if the tribe was actually consulted on that. I know that a number of people have reached out to several people. But let me rephrase that. I know the chairman has reached out to several people in this room and was told, no thanks, got our own information. The other thing I'd like to say is the facts that are being presented, Mr. Wallace, this kind of goes to you, and I appreciate when you do this. The words that are being used are I'm offended. That some of the things that were said tonight, Mr. Heyman, I'm going to use you for a minute, and I'm going to apologize in advance. Some of the things that were said tonight could be the same as all chiropractors don't know what they're doing. That's not a fair assessment. However, that's what's happening tonight. That's what's been happening for the last 2 years, is there's been no coming together and talking. We did have a meeting 2 years ago, I think. That was the last one, and then in this council room, we were all told, we'll only meet if we have something to say. Sounds like we have had something to say for the last year, and no one's talking. I don't understand. Where I come from, if there's a problem, we talk. Lynn, you and I spoke 2 weeks ago. You spoke to the chairman. Thank you for that. Lynn and I don't agree politically. However, Lynn, I consider you a friend. there's so many different things. It's not just a casino, folks. It's not just a casino. There's going to be an entertainment complex. There's going to be restaurants. There's going to be, at some point, a venue to have concerts. Wouldn't it be awesome to have a big band, a big musical group here, and put heads in beds? The RACVB, that's what they want. They want to have heads in beds, right? We have all these hotels. Last 2 weeks ago, didn't we say okay to a new hotel? And speaking of hotels, I keep hearing so close to the base. Mike, would you want all the hotels destroyed in town that are so close to the base? I think your words were, with a high-power telescope, you could see what's happening on base. I think those are what you said. So doesn't that mean all the hotels should be gone? Doesn't that go against what we're all talking about?
We're not debating between you and Mike.
Thank you, Madam.
I appreciate that.
I mean, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about bringing an economic stability to Ridgecrest. Is it a fix-all? Absolutely not. Will it help? You bet. I'm asking, reach out and talk to somebody. There's lots of information on Facebook. Heck, there's been all kinds of cool accusations about myself. We're not going to get into that now here, but my number's pretty easy. You can reach out and talk to me anytime you want to. Reach out and talk to somebody. The chairman's number has been posted. Nigel's number has been posted. It's all about communication. I don't know about your folks, but my folks always said, it's easier to talk to someone than fight them, because fighting doesn't usually work out very well. So with that, I'll thank you. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Paul Knipe. I'm pastor of Pilgrim Lutheran Church in Ridgecrest. Honorable Council, because all people are sinners, every community faces the battle between good and evil. It is because people by nature are not good that we need things like laws, crime prevention, and police forces. Accordingly, communities that care about these things will be eager to promote virtue, not vice. People, as well as their institutions, are not neutral. Everyone has a worldview that defines what he believes to be right and wrong, good and evil, true and false, and acts accordingly. Therefore, what community would deliberately introduce something that embraces evil and embodies evil? Yet casinos are the embodiment of evil in many ways, among them being that they use all sorts of marketing schemes to entice gamblers to risk as much money as possible. They often offer inexpensive or even free alcohol, which encourages drunkenness and thereby a decreased ability to make wise decisions. Everything in a casino is perfectly rigged for taking money and giving nothing in return, except for fleeting and empty pleasures. The allure of getting rich quick is too great a temptation to resist for those who are desperate. We praise organizations like the Salvation Army and the Red Cross, not to mention Christian churches for being arms that reach out to give. But the reason for a casino's existence is to take rather than give. Why anyone would want to dignify a business that represents lust, envy, covetousness, and greed by promoting its establishment in a community is appalling. Since gambling represents the vices of envy, lust, covetousness, and greed, in contrasts to the virtues of contentment, thrift, and generosity, it is anything but neutral. You don't have to believe the Bible to know that the love of money is a source of all kinds of evil. That's why we are urged to keep our lives free from the love of money and be content with what we have. Casino mania highlights the reality that no one can serve two masters. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Dear council, if you want to divide the community even more than it is, then by all means, vote for the casino. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lorenzo Hernandez. I'm the pastor at the Apostolic Church here in Ridgecrest. And I know many things have been said about the building the casino here in the community. Since the first time the idea came of bringing a casino into this peaceful town, I moved to this town 10 years ago from a big metropolis when we get all kind of problems because we are surrounded by a lot of those kind of places, not just bar, but casinos. But I want to talk just about a personal experience that I have seen through the years. And I'm really worried about our community and our town by bringing a casino because all the things that a casino creates in a community. I don't want to go that far, but my neighbor, his marriage is breaking apart. He recently lost his truck, his brand new truck, his work truck that he was using to make a living because 4 years ago he got caught in gambling. And that is just one little example next door to where I live to what casino can do, not just to marriages, to children, to all the people in this community. So the effects of a casino in a peaceful town like Ridgecrest, we should be regretting in the future if we let a casino come to this community. I'm so happy to live here. I never thought that I will find a place so peaceful like Ridgecrest is in the whole state of California. After living in a big, huge metropolis, moving to a peaceful town like this, it's like finding heaven for me and my family and my kids. So I will just, I don't want to use the word exhort because I use that when I preach every Sunday to my congregation. But I will just plead you to reconsider voting for a casino because that will bring us a lot of problems. It will destroy the peace that we enjoy in this town. And one of the things when you come from a big from a big metropolis like I did from LA and come to a town like Ridgecrest, one of the things to really appreciate is the peace that we have here. A casino will bring a lot of more traffic, will bring more drugs, will bring more prostitution, will bring more people driving under the influence, and a lot of the things that they just mentioned. So I'm opposing to the casino, and I don't want a casino to come over and destroy the peace that we enjoy in this beautiful town called Ridgecrest. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, City Council. Name's Stephen Birdwell, 224 Oasis Drive, Ridgecrest, California. Now, while I appreciate the religious aspects that several people have brought up before you guys, I have one question to ask everyone. Who here celebrates Christmas? Who here has read the Bible? Who here has read Jeremiah 10? Let me read that for just a second. For the customs of the people are in vain, for one cutteth a tree out of the forest, for the work of the hands of the workman with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither can they also them do good. For as much they are none like unto thee, O Lord, thou art great, and thy name is great in might. Doesn't that sound like a Christmas tree to you all? We have preachers coming up here preaching about how we have greed because of a casino. Christmas is about kids getting things that they want. Personally, I think that breeds greed. It's all personal choice. Everyone has that, just like your God gave everyone free will. They have the free will to go to things, be it vice or not. Am I wrong? You guys have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
If you're going to record me, I'd like to know what you're using it for, Mr. Neal. Lori Acton. So I'm listening to everything that's going on, and I know it's a hot debate. And I just want to point out a couple of things that are kind of bothering me that maybe we can get some answers for, and I don't mean right this second. But in the state of California, it was voted on to legalize Class 3 gaming. As a matter of fact, it's legal in 48 out of our 50 states, if you weren't aware of that. We have a 4-story hotel going in. Nobody's mentioned the water issue with that. Nobody's mentioned the spying. Nobody's mentioned a lot of things that they have with the casino, which is much smaller. What we seem to forget is that it's not about a casino per se. Is that an aspect to it? Sure, absolutely. But there's a 5,000-seat convention center, and I don't know about you, but I belong to several organizations that would love to have regional meetings here, and we don't have a space big enough to hold them. I couldn't even do John McQuiston's retirement party here because we didn't have a big enough space to hold it. Okay? So I would like that. I would like to have some of the entertainment avenues open up. I would like to have a hotel with an upscale steakhouse and a spa and a pool. I would like those things. I went every Friday for a Friday night date with my sailor husband when we lived up in Washington State to a casino. We still had our home. We took $20 each. When it was gone, it was gone. People are responsible, and they're accountable for their actions, and what's between them and God is just that, between them and God, because that's who they're accountable to. I don't get the whole fear with the water shortage when we have other things coming in that's going to use a lot more water. As far as the BRAC goes, I understand the fear on that one. I really do. I know how scary that can be. So if you haven't noticed or haven't looked, well, this came from the Federal News Network on DoD BRAC 2019 will not be happening, and they're doing away with it. So, Congress has not been particularly amenable to another round since the last round in 2005. We've asked for it a number of times without much success, and so I think we're looking at doing two things going forward. One is working with Congress to find common areas where we can make reforms and changes that don't create the same types of obstacles, and the other is undergoing a financial statement audit that includes a look at property and assets and investments and improving the accuracy of the data behind it. Now, that came from not me. You can go to the Federal News Network. That's where that came from. So, again, there's a lot of fear that's going out without all of the information being presented, and I want everybody to have a clear picture of that. Let's see. Oh, sovereign immunity. That comes up a lot. The only people who can enforce that, first of all, it's a PL 280 state, and if you don't know what that means that the tribe has to follow the law, okay? State law, federal law. They waive their sovereign immunity, so they also are willing to follow all city ordinances, and it's enforceable. And it's enforceable on the casino grounds, on the property. And our law enforcement can go on there. So please don't misunderstand that. So if there is misunderstandings, be glad to go through it with you, because it is enforceable. And it's enforceable in government. And I realize some people don't believe that, but you might want to go check case law, Mr. Martin, because it is true. And the other bases who have a lot more enlisted personnel than we do don't have a higher incident with gambling and losing everything. I hear we have a highly educated workforce. I happen to know that we do. We got a lot of PhDs, and we're very proud of that. I think they know the odds. I think they can run the numbers. I think they know it's a losing proposition when they go in there and they want to have a good time. That doesn't mean they have to give away everything and lose their home. Because if they have a problem gambling, guaranteed they already have that problem now. This isn't going to create it. And, you know, all the things that casinos bring, but we never talk about what they do for their communities. Because they do a lot. And so in your research, when you're studying and you're looking stuff up for yourself, because we're all highly educated here and we're going to do that, Take a look at what they do in the communities they're around. And if you need phone numbers from other communities, because I've called the assessor's office and county offices and all of those places, I'll happily give them to you because I did my homework before this ever came up. So, again, people need to be accountable for their own actions, and the misinformation that keeps going out, that's what's dividing our community. That's where the problem is. Because we can heal, we can move forward, and if you don't like it, that's okay. And if you don't want to go to a bar, you don't have to. Nobody makes you, but we're not out shutting them down because we decided as a state, as a society, that that was acceptable. Same thing with the casino. So I ask that you are respecting people's choices, whatever they are, as I respect yours. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen Morgan, 729 North Inyo Street, representing the Ridgecrest Lions Club. Just a quick update. Slowly but surely, we've crossed $37,000 in raising funds for the penny pool, and we will, unfortunately, to half of this crowd, be having a bingo fundraiser November 17th, which is gambling. So I know half these folks won't be coming, but we're raising money for penny pool. 50% of the funds will go, if we sell all 300 tickets, we would raise a minimum of $3,000 for the penny pool project. So we certainly hope that individuals, even if they don't go, buy a ticket to help us with this fundraiser in our continuing support of that project. That's my Ridgecrest Lions Club statement. I am now Stephen Morgan, public citizen. I just received, and in doing my homework, I'm trying to be fair on both sides. One side is telling me what to do one way, and one side is telling me what to do the other way. But the fact is, either side is trying to make my decision for me. And that's not right. So, but I do have this report now in my hand from the Innovation Group, Economic Impact Analysis and Community Impact Analysis on the Timbashaw Shoshone Casino, and I believe the council has this. And I don't know if it's on the city website. If it was given to the council, it should be public record. But anyone who wants to do a little education on the economic analysis, here is a survey done by a reputable corporation that does so. So you may want to take a look at this. And you make your own decisions. I'm not going to tell you one way or another. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other public comment?
Yes, my name is George Washington Carver, and I'd like to comment on some of the things that have been said just previously. You gave us this right tonight, Madam Mayor. Remember that.
I did.
Thank you very much.
I'm not arguing with you.
I'm just reminding you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Mrs. Acton said something about the sovereign lands have to obey the California laws, and yet we just heard a testimony about someone who tried to serve a California restraining order in a casino, and the security people wouldn't honor that. So I guess I'm a little confused about how well they honor California law. One thing that has been mentioned in a very, very long time, because it happened about 2 years ago, and I've told many people since that time, if I had been sitting on the council, this one person's statement would have made the decision about the casino for me. It was a young man who works on the base, who humbled himself enough to come up here with his child beside him and explain how he had gambling addiction in the past, and it about ruined him. And he came to Ridgecrest, and he got away from that. And he overcame that addiction. And he didn't practically, he did beg the council, please don't put that temptation in front of my eyes 2 to 4 times every day when I go to work and back. Is a few more bucks for Ridgecrest worth that? I say, any doubt about causing that kind of devastation to The one single citizen's life makes the decision, should make the decision, and would have made the decision in my mind, and that would have been the end of it. Do people count? I certainly hope they do. Ruining a person's life is a whole lot different than providing an entertainment center or another hotel. God forbid, do we need another hotel in Ridgecrest? I can't believe it. Or what? Gambling entertainment? Well, unfortunately, council members, two which are still sitting here tonight, made that decision for the rest of Ridgecrest, didn't let us have a referendum vote so you could really know how many people wanted it. Here we stand. People complain about the division. Well, it's happened. I've already told you it's going to continue. Doesn't matter if the casino comes forward or not. A whole bunch of people in this town are not going to like it, and it's just going to be a big sore on everybody's neck.
Elvis Presley.
Okay, let's wait a minute.
This last little statement. The convention center that they're talking about, early on, they said that the city of Ridgecrest had to pay for that. I believe, if in the early 2 years ago planning, they said that they were going to have it built, but it was going to be with our money. If we have the money, we already have the land, we can do it without it.
Okay. Trying to be fair so that we can hear from the Desert Empire Fairgrounds didn't mean that everybody could come and speak. So if y'all are planning on coming again to speak, please let me know, because there are some people who haven't spoken yet who would like to, and I'd like to give them that opportunity. Please. Thank you.
Stacy Jackson. I'm not impersonating anyone. I gamble every day. I gamble with my life when I drive 395. I gamble with my 401k in the stock market. And I plan to gamble tonight when I go home and buy my Mega Millions and Powerball tickets. So that, for me, as long as it's all legal, then I'm allowed to do it. By Mr. Neal's argument, we should also close the liquor stores because it's a temptation for some people. Perhaps maybe even take the cigarettes out of Walmart because that's a temptation for people. You can't go by what is a temptation for people. People have to police themselves. And I'm capable of policing myself. Many people are capable of policing themselves. And for me, a casino would be entertainment. I'm capable of going in there with my $100, my expendable cash, whatever that may be, and spending it just like I would go to the movies. So for him to say that we should not have that temptation out there in the world, there's lots of temptation out there in this world. And we can't police everyone and their ability to contain themselves when it comes to that.
Thank you.
Nigel White, Las Vegas. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I'm up here tonight once again to correct the record and balance the facts. The facts are this economy, this casino and entertainment center is about the economy. It's about jobs. It's going to be good for the local economy. Most of the City Council gets that. First of all, thank you to the early speakers for their desperation propaganda that was said that's mainly incorrect. Thank you for your speech. It sounds like desperation to me. Some of the stuff that you guys write and put out on the stuff there, I tell you, it's absolutely amazing, some of this stuff. There are some correct facts, but I personally see them as being probably about 5 or 10% correct. You know, when I hear stuff like land grab, we're paying $5.5 million for a piece of land, and yet it's a land grab. The land's been vacant for 17 years. The city council for 17 years has not been able to sell this land. We come along, and what do? We get a few people wanting to kick us. Water stealing. My goodness me. I seem to remember a while ago the fine young man sitting over there, Mr. Martin, said that I was in town to steal water and to take it to Las Vegas. So as a developer, put a lot of time and money into this project. It's going to bring a total capital cost in the neighborhood of $70+ million. I didn't see Walmart putting $70 million into this place. So again, I'm just getting out the facts because I think the people with common sense, as was pointed out, should figure it out for themselves. I'm not here to make their decision. I don't think anybody is, but read the stuff. We had a frivolous lawsuit filed by a certain gentleman that's sitting fairly close to me. Have you taken my picture? Am I on film? Oh, good. Excellent. Maybe I'll get an Oscar. He filed a lawsuit. The tribe raised $40,000 for Penny Pool. The $27,000 we wasted on this frivolous lawsuit here, I'd have been happy to have given the money towards the Penny Pool. What a shame. This report here is about an 80-page report done by a professional company that's world-renowned. It gives you facts. Facts about crime, facts about alcoholism, facts about stuff that the people who oppose casinos in various towns in the United States, including this one, actually, it refutes them. So somebody's right and somebody's wrong. I personally tend to believe this report here, again, done by a professional, world-renowned company. And the numbers in here are even higher as far as what I call the taxes or payment in lieu of taxes to this city. You will get from this project more taxes than Walmart pay. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? All right, thank you. We'll close public comment and we will go to council announcements. Is there any council? No. Council announcements.
I'm sorry.
You want to go?
I have, Madam Mayor and Council, I have two announcements. One of them is on the November the 1st at 2 p.m. The East Kern Air Pollution Control District will have a meeting at the Ridgecrest County Building located at 400 North China Lake Boulevard at 2 o'clock, and all are invited to attend. The other one I would like to announce, Council and Madam Mayor, is one that we probably could all need, and that is a unity community, uniting our community. It's their fourth gathering. It's going to be at the Matarane, at the Spring Hill Suites Marriott Hotel in a Matarane room on the 20th. That's this Saturday from 10 to 12 o'clock. It's uniting our community to figure out how we can get along with one another. That there's going to be songs, there's going to be prayer, there's going to be meditation, and there's going to be an opportunity to get to know your neighbor by a handshake and talking to one another without becoming angry or violent or losing friendships. So that again is this Saturday from 10 to 12 o'clock. I will not be there because my wife and I are celebrating our 34th wedding anniversary. But I hope everybody will come. Thank you so much.
Okay. I've attended that meeting. I've not missed one, and it's an amazing meeting. Dr. Risha does a great job, and I invite everybody to come. I'm not going to be there because of the fair, but anyhow. Mike, did you have something
I've got
to
one
say?
announcement. Most people know that my pet project is Down Street. I'm happy to report that Monday, the east side of Down Street went out to bid. So hopefully we will be improving Down Street here real shortly. So congratulations for staff to get that out, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good job. Lindsay?
On October 27th, out here at Freedom Park, we will be having the trunk or treat. That will start at 5, and then we'll have a movie that starts at 6:30. So we invite everyone to come out with their families and have a good time.
Thank you. Wallace? I don't have any. All right, we will then go to item number 1 on the consent calendar. Proposed action to approve draft minutes of the City of Ridgecrest City Council Successor Redevelopment Agency Financing Authority Housing Authority regular meeting dated October 3rd. Motion? Or?
Move approval.
Second.
Please vote.
You have to wait for the thing.
There you go.
President.
I voted.
Well, it wasn't up yet.
Okay.
I voted 3 times, it hasn't shown up yet.
Vote again. Maybe it'll count 3 times, huh?
Let's just take a roll call vote. Mr. Mauer?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Mayor Breeden?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Ms. Stevens?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, the next item, discussion and proposed action to approve a resolution approving budget adjustments and interfund transfers for fiscal year 2017-18 closeout. Please, if you would, lead that discussion.
Is this on? No?
A little bit closer.
You might have to get closer to it.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Tonight I am presenting for your approval the year-end transfers and budget adjustments necessary to close fiscal year 18. These transfers and adjustments are broken into 3 sections. The first one is capital projects. Attachment A shows the decrease of the fiscal year 18 budget, and attachment B shows the increase of the fiscal year 19 budget. And then section 2 is the purchase orders. Attachment C shows all of the purchase orders that are being rolled over. Attachment D shows the fiscal year 18 budget decrease and fiscal year 19 budget increase. And then the third section is any other necessary year-end transfers. That's on attachment E. And then attachment F shows the impact by fund and fiscal years.
Did you see anything unusual in here? Anything you'd like to point out to us? That, because frankly it looked like to me, and help me understand if I'm misunderstanding what you told us, we're basically taking the items that weren't item dollars that weren't expended last year but were approved, moving them to this year's budget. Is that correct?
Yep, that's exactly
Nothing was
correct.
increased. I can see that the reduction and the increase are all the same in all the numbers. So is that a correct assumption also?
Yes.
Is there any other council questions or comments?
I just had a real quick one.
Mm-hmm.
When Madam Mayor was making mention that we're just kind of transferring over, does that also mean that we didn't get a chance to pay some things? Or is it just because we ran out of time?
The capital projects, it's more a long-term thing. So like the splash pad, for example, we haven't really had a lot of work done on that, so we haven't had to pay anything for it. The purchase orders are more purchase orders that were open towards the end of the fiscal year and weren't expended at that time, so they are being rolled over.
So like in reference to attachment C, the very last one, Mr. The Moots Company, did we not pay that one, or did something happen why?
That one is for fuel, I believe, and so we just.
I'll just use it as an example.
I would assume that was for the Calvi litigation. And like I said, this is a rollover from 18 to 19, and we're already into October. So some of these things that you're seeing have already been expended. These are just rollers as of July 1st.
I know on our attachment it says project, and then some of them are listed in reference to what they're for, and then some of them are blank. So I didn't know.
I believe most of the ones that say projects are public works projects.
Okay, so the ones that don't have anything, it's just rollover. Help me. I was just trying to figure out how I can interpret what those go to, based upon the document.
Well, we can explain a few of these, like Duran Law Service for $4,300. That's our special counsel for the casino. That's still, I believe, Nielsen. Merksimer is the same. Wildan Financial Services, that's the Park Assessment District. It was approved last budget cycle that we're still working on this budget cycle. Square Print is the funding that was approved by City Council at the same time as Wildan Services for potential public outreach and those such things. I mean, most of these are just like HDL Corn. That's our consultant we use for property tax consulting. The revenue cost specialist is the $10,000 for the cost allocation study, the workshop that we did. That still needs to be paid.
Just one other quick one, Mr. Strand, and that is on the back page of attachment C, it says the commanding officer, for an example.
I believe that is our costs, electrical costs, I believe, for the wastewater facility.
Okay, because I was just having a difficult time trying to figure out how to identify some of those and what kind of happened in reference to time frame. But okay.
Yeah, if you look at like the clinical lab of San Bernardino, that's the testing of the wastewater facility, the effluent that comes through. Provost and Pritchard's also a PO that's been out there for the final design of the wastewater treatment facility. Obviously, that PO is in existence. We still haven't made a decision whether or not they're the firm we're going to go with, so that may be liquidated at some time or another and reallocated if we choose another firm. Anything that begins with 310 is wastewater facility.
Correct, because you're down below. You have you're broken down into categories.
Right.
Okay. So, but we are on target to make sure that we rectify these so they won't roll over into 1920. Correct.
Yes.
2019. Thank you.
Right. Okay. I mean, a lot of these purchase orders were, if you approved a purchase order in May or June, not unless if it's a capital project, you're going to be carrying it over into the next fiscal year.
Okay.
I believe this was all revealed during our budget process, that these purchase orders were out there.
They probably were, and I agree with you. It's just that when I got this, I couldn't able to follow or track it. So that's why I'm asking those questions in reference to it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. That was all I had, Madam Mayor.
Is there any other council discussion? Is there any public comment? Motion?
So moved.
Second.
You wanted this or the machine?
Please vote.
Thank you, Sheree.
Mr. Mauer, are you on?
Mine says received.
I don't know if it's on or not.
Let's do a roll call vote. Mr. Mauer?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Mayor Breeden?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Ms. Stevens?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, item number 3 we have pulled, so we will go to item number 4. There is nothing on the Groundwater Authority to expend any money on except receive reports. The only item is the approval of a auditor. Sorry, couldn't come up with that name. We have to do that each year, and this is what we're doing. Did you want to explain any more on that?
No, it's pretty self-explanatory. The fiscal agent for the Groundwater Authority is Kern County Treasurer, and as a JPA, as an organization, we have to have an audit every year. Although we started in July of 16. There wasn't enough. We weren't required to do an audit that first 5 months. So this is our first initial audit that's due January 31st. We have identified a auditing firm in Bakersfield to do the audit that was recommended by Kern County Treasurer, and so that's who we're recommending to go with. And they're looking at not to exceed $7,000, which is reasonable.
Yeah.
At some point, will we get an update on the potential litigation that's happening in closed session too?
Not an open session.
I know that, but it just would be good if there is potential litigation for us to be aware of that as well.
I don't know how to answer that. That'd have to be the attorneys that answer how we answer
Because
closed
we
session
would
items
be-
in another government entity.
But we would be responsible for paying part of that if it came to fruition.
No, we would not.
Where would it come from then?
Would more likely come from the valley. It'd probably come from a fee, but I know that we are looking at an insurance policy that's coming out through the state, where it'd be something similar to what we have, pool insurance that we're looking at that's coming up here pretty quick.
That is a good question. I would like to be able to have an answer for that, because quite frankly, there's no way, if it's a closed session for the GSA, that we can discuss it in open session. How do the other entities report it? And I do not know. So could you...
in any litigation would, I mean, we do have our special counsel that we've hired, Mr. Markman, that has been retained to represent us in case any litigation comes about regarding the groundwater sustainability plan or the implementation of it. So I don't know if it's
But
going
if we
to...
don't have insurance yet to cover a lawsuit, then, and the city is on the board, it seems like we could be held liable.
Well, any litigation would happen right now would be more than likely for the allocation of water. And that's
But whatever, let's just ask it. So council, if you could talk with the other councils and tell us how to accomplish that in a realistic manner.
As I'm hearing it, how can this council give direction for
Well, we want to fill them in.
for a matter that's being done in closed session at the Groundwater Authority? Okay, I'll get back on that.
Okay, that is the only item. And so I will then go on to item number, where am I? Item number 5. The ordinance, the second reading and adoption ordinance 1802 of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest, amending the zoning map, zone changes ZC 1701 of the City of Ridgecrest, and approving a development agreement, DA, between the City of Ridgecrest Investors LLC and 900 Downs LLC, who were the applicant, and approving corresponding resolution of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest approving General Plan's Amendment GPA 1701. So let's, Heather, please.
Sorry.
No.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. So this is for the second reading of the ordinance for the zone change 17-01 and the approval of the development agreement. A supplemental agenda included the development agreement with the changes stated at the last meeting. So this is the zone change. The zone change is for the existing zoning of general commercial and R2 to the R3 medium density multifamily residential district. This is for the Red Rock project. The project is in 3 phases. Phase 1 is for 22 units, Phase 2 is for 66 units, and Phase 3 is for 110 units. The development agreement is between the city and Ridgecrest Investors LLC. The city agrees to reimburse the owner for design of the master plan portion of the street and drainage improvements. Phase 1 improvements include South Down Street and the center median on Bowman. Phase 2 improvements include design of Bowman Road and the drainage channel. And Phase 3 improvements include construction of the Bowman Road improvements. Staff recommends the approval of the zone change 17-01 and the development agreement.
Are you ready for questions?
Yep.
Okay. Does anybody have some I would like to ask on page 7 of 23, there's a policy LU 2.3, local housing needs. And I'm going to read it for those of you who don't have it. The city shall work to meet the increase of local housing needs for low and moderate income households. The city will work with developers and local housing advocacy groups to meet the city's regional share of low and moderate income housing. Not exactly sure. I mean, it's a really nice thing, and I'm not sure how we accomplish that. And is that just a statement of policy? How do we say, yes, we have done that? And I know we are, but could you address what that actually means?
That is one of the goals in our general plan that was approved by City Council in 2010.
Okay, I understand that, and I guess I'm questioning because all these items were put in there under, where am I? This agreement is consistent with the policies, goals, and objectives of the Ridgecrest General Plan, including the following. Did we just, when you identify one and don't identify all, makes me wonder, is there something that makes those policies significantly more important than all of them?
Which ones are applicable?
Yeah, and that's what I said. Can we just say that we agree with the policies, this agreement is consistent with the policies of the general plan? I'm not saying we should take them out. I don't think I've ever seen them listed this way, and that's why I'm wondering if there's anything significant that I didn't see about these and not the others.
It's just a style, drafting style,
Okay.
and to support the statement that it's consistent with the policies and goals.
Okay. When they were listed, I wondered if there was something significant about them that made it different. Okay. And then it said on pages 14 of 23, it talks about the parties acknowledge and agree that minor refinements or clarifications will, with respect to the detail of the permit, shall be appropriate from time to time. How minor is minor? I know it's a silly question, but I don't want us to lose anything here. I want the project to go forward. I want us to be able to offer this development, and I don't want somebody to come back and say, well, how minor is minor?
Page 14, you said.
Page 14 of 23, item number 15B. Other than that was my only question. All the rest I'm happy with. I just don't want to have a disagreement afterwards saying, well, we think this is major, you think it's minor.
Madam Mayor, I can address that one. Okay, so first of all, it's typical in a development agreement to allow for minor changes. You're right, that could be open interpretation. So for that reason, there's two people that have to sign off on it.
Okay.
The Director of Community Development, and then the city manager must approve it on behalf of the city. So that kind of protects the city from one person making the decision, maybe inappropriately, whatever. And then I presume that then if someone wanted to challenge that, it could be appealed. That decision could be appealed.
Okay, all right. My questions are answered. Anybody else have any questions? Public comment.
Evening, City Council. Ronald Porter. I read through most of the stuff on here, and my biggest problem is I can't find a meaningful justification to go beyond the general plan. I understand the housing, I understand that possible need. But when we create a general plan, a zoning plan, it's more than just a desire. We need to find a purpose and a significant purpose and meaning to change our zoning issues. Not one by one, not what suits somebody, not because the developer wants it, we need housing. I can't find in the whole thing why we should take area that was designed and fits in with the general housing area and put this particular high density in that particular area. I'm not saying whether it's good or bad, but the fact is we haven't met our requirement, in my opinion, to do a zoning change. And as city council members, you need to look at this. Does this fit our general plan? Is this where we want to move? Or do we want to just do it willy-nilly and change them when we want? I think we need to sit back and say, before we do that, we need to find an extraordinary reason why it needs to be built here and why it can't be built in another place that's already zoned for it. That's my biggest concern, because if we don't hold those standards, then our general plan for the zoning of this city falls apart. And we need to find that great significant reason why we want to do it. If someone comes tomorrow and wants to build on the next lot over, a high density there, then what reason do we have to tell them no? I just can't see as a city saying, we want to do this because this developer wants it. I can't see that anyone's addressed why we want to change the general plan just for this one. And I think that's the question that each and every city council member needs to ask themselves. Why this spot? Why do we need to change this one? Does it really truly fit in our general plan? That general plan has to be held up to a higher standard before we change zones for anyone. If we're not going to, then there's no reason to have the general plan. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Council Mike Neal. Just for informational purposes, I found myself wondering about the agreement and the Bowman Channel development, and you got different phases of that, 1, 2, and 3, as I recall. I assume phase 1 is just street improvements around the intersection and not a lot to the channel. Is that correct?
Are you asking a question?
Yes, I'm asking the question.
I guess I didn't understand it as a question. Did anybody get it? Did you?
Yes, phase 1 has to deal with the sidewalks.
Just so
Sidewalks on Down Street.
Oh, the sidewalks, and the developer will pay for curb and gutter and everything
Correct.
else that has to happen there. Okay, phase 2, does that get into the channel development at that point?
That phase 2 is the design of the channel and the roadway of Bowman and the intersection.
So that's just design phase. So it'd be
Correct.
phase 3 before they actually work on the channel proper.
Correct. That's when the bulk of the development will come in.
Okay.
Now, mind you, phase 1 is only 22 units.
Right. Okay, so assuming we go to phase 3, how far down the channel is the improvements going to go? It's going to go all the way down to the Walmart prior improvements, or a block or 2 blocks?
Just down to the edge of their property. They're just along their property line.
About 2 blocks worth or something? I don't recall the map.
I don't have the exact measurement, but it would entail their along their property line.
Okay, and we're going to pay for that. So what is the cost of that channel development for that?
I believe that will be determined. The only thing that is offered is their fees for the master drainage plan up to that amount. Anything that goes over, they have to pay for. But we believe that those improvements can be made within that amount that they'd have to pay.
So we're reimbursing only for fees?
Correct.
Not the actual physical work of whatever they're going to do to the channel, which I assume is going to be, well, what is it going to be? Is it going to be like what's been done on the other portions down by the 2 Walmart buildings? Or are they just going to kind of clear it out?
It'll be improved. I believe there are going to be some rock put in there. It'd be improved considerably over what it is now.
And so the developer will actually pay for the physical work on the channel. Is that
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
That was with 111 units.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, is there any other questions? Lindsay? Oh, I thought you had your arm up there. Any other public comment? A comment on a previous topic? What, can we get through this one?
No, there was a previous one, the water, you didn't ask for public opinion on the water issue, but that's all right, that's fine.
On the GSA, we did.
There was no vote.
Oh, I just thought there was the.
We just had discussion.
It's about the water, okay, never mind.
If you would like to make, let's get through this. If you want to make a comment, I'd be happy to hear it. Let's just get through this one, though, okay? All right, thank you. All right, is there any other council comment? Then a motion?
Like to make a motion to waive reading in full of ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest, amending the zoning map, zone change 17-01 of the City of Ridgecrest, and approving a development agreement between the City of Ridgecrest and Ridgecrest Investors LLC and 900 Downs LLC.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please vote. 5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay. And then the next item, by title only?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt by title only an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest, amending the zoning map, zone change 17-01 of the City of Ridgecrest, and approving a development agreement between the City and Ridgecrest Investors LLC and 900 Downs LLC.
Second.
Please vote. 5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay. Let's go back. You wanted to ask a question. Please make your question.
You need to come up to the microphone, please. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm not very good at the rules.
That's
here,
fine,
so
you're fine.
we
Please
were just,
speak.
You had made a comment about the water sustainability, the water authority. That's what you're talking about legal. I don't know what you were voting on, but I was just kind of had some concerns about our groundwater authority problems that we have.
Well, we're going to have a meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and you can certainly come and listen to that and voice your concerns. But what we weren't voting on anything because there was no direction to me other than there was no action item other than to do the auditor. The question Lindsay had asked is when there is closed session on groundwater authority, how do I inform the council of what that is? And that's where we are. And so I asked staff to come back to us with a recommendation because, quite frankly, I don't know how that is done in the other entities, and I don't want to get into trouble with anybody. And so we're all doing it fairly and equitably and keeping our boards informed.
Okay, there's just concerns with the groundwater authority problems, but I will address it at another time.
If you'd like to come tomorrow or I'll wait and talk to me afterwards, I'd be happy to listen. Anything you want to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Could you identify yourself because I didn't ask you to do that?
Shirley Kirkpatrick.
Okay, thank you. All right, then we have approved all that. We are in committee reports. City org.
We haven't met since the last meeting.
Right. Finance Committee?
We did not meet because there was some confusion about that.
I have to apologize to Lindsay and staff. Lindsay had asked me to attend that meeting, and I had it on my agenda, and because there was some discussion about whether I can attend two meetings, when other people, council members are there, I chose not to go, and then that was one I clearly could have gone. So my apologies. But I understand you did discuss things.
We did discuss item 2, actually. So we got clarification on that. That's probably why Stan and I neither one asked any questions.
Okay, infrastructure. Meet Thursday, right?
Meet a week from tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, there's some discussion. We don't currently have anything on the agenda, so if we want anything on the agenda, we need to get it on there so we can set the meeting up.
Should we be looking at purchase orders for paving machines?
I believe we're getting ready to go out to an RFP on that. I believe Mr. Lauer met with a vendor today to discuss their product, and I believe the RFP is coming out here shortly.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will have a meeting then on week from tomorrow. Parks and Rec, first Tuesday, you've already had that, correct?
No, we did not have one because we had a special meeting that day, but we are looking at, they sent out a request to bump it up to the 30th of October versus November 6th because that's election day. So So we're waiting to get consensus that we would have a quorum available on the 30th.
All right, Youth Advisory Council.
Chief, you want to bring us up to speed on that?
I wasn't here, sir.
No report.
Okay. The Action Committee?
We don't meet until.
Okay. The next item is RACVB. Wallace?
Quick rundown. Doug brought in a demo display for the meeting that was going to be purchased for the new RACVB booth. For trade shows, he introduced Sharon Garreau, who specializes in bylaws, advised the directors and the public in attendance of the potential of RACVB becoming a California Welcome Center in the spring of 2019. Doug reminded the directors and the public of the upcoming 5th Annual Petroglyph Festival. That's going to be November 3rd and 4th. And on November the 7th and the 8th, he reminded the directors and the public of an upcoming CCAP, that's the California Contractors Acquisition Procurement Industry Day for small businesses to get informed on how to work with government for contracts and network with the naval staff and speakers on how to. For the month of September, there was one large production with a crew of 300 for a feature film for the Ridgecrest Film Commission. In Kern Airport, for the month of September, there was one production for filming. Total community spend for September was good, $1,318,632. So there we go.
Okay, other committees, boards, or commissions?
I want to ask a question. I can't go as long here. The billboard on the south, coming in from the south into town.
The bed.
That's kind of a weird billboard.
Yeah.
Agreed.
How often does that get changed?
Agreed. Before long, if I have anything to do with it.
We went from the yellow one with the arrow to a giant bed.
I have.
I think it says roughing it as last century or something like that.
I've talked to Doug, and I've asked that all the directors get to see all the drafts before we actually go up on billboards in the future.
I don't know,
I agree.
It caught my eye the other day when I came into town, but then today when I came into town, I looked at it closely and thought, okay.
Agreed.
Just to back up, we skipped economic development, and I was just going to give an update from going to ICSC last week.
Please.
So a group of us went to ICSC, the Western Conference last week. Ashlyn, Mr. Strand, Mr. Ferris, myself, and Mr. Scott O'Neill also attended. It was a good meeting because we got to see that our hard work that Bill and I had started from 2 Mays ago back in Vegas was starting to pay off. So we have 2 hotels coming that we had met with 2 years ago, the Holiday Inn and the Marriott. And then we had good meetings with Panda and Chipotle and Panera, and it looks like things are moving forward with those as well. So it was a good
job.
Yeah.
Okay.
My wife wants to know when Panera is coming.
I sat down and I said, "When are you opening?" And I was like, "I don't want to hear any more about dough analysis, but when are you opening?" And so he said, at first he said 2021, and then I shook my head no. And so then he said 2020 would be the earliest if they started right now on going through all the processes. So.
Okay. All right. Other boards, committees, or commissions? Anybody have any? Okay. City managers report?
No report.
Future agenda items? Mayor and council comments?
I have one, Madam Mayor and Council. I'm going to ask if I don't know who's in charge of the display that was set up front. And I don't mean it in a bad way. Mr. Neal, if you'd be kind enough, could you check the information in reference to me that's in there? Because some of it, as I read it, was inaccurate. If you'd be kind enough to do that. Pretty please, sir. And then the other thing was to note that I did some checking, and I was informed that Mr. Storch does not speak for the base. So, that's it.
I think he said that when he came forward.
Okay, none other than we will.
I have one other quick comment. When we were talking earlier, Mr. Morgan, we were talking about the economic analysis. In this comprehensive community report, it addresses the fact that initially, early on, that there was quite a cry for an economic analysis early on by the prior council. It was accepted to do such a thing. It should have been done to begin with by the tribe and the developers, but it wasn't, and so it was recommended that it be done. And in fact, it went out for RFP, as I understand it, and several bids came in, and nothing happened with them, and it was not acted upon. And that's when Mr. Ricky Fielding took it upon himself as an engineer on base, a volunteer, to do that study, Mr. Morgan. Had you read that, you would know that. No, sir. Now, so the issue is, one had to volunteer on base to do that study. This is much later in the game which you're holding up. The issue that was presented in the tier, in my opinion, is way too little and way too late. A complete and thorough study analysis should have been done from day one, not way after the fact. So that's as long as we're setting the record straight on a few things, Eddie, I'd like to set the record straight on that one. And on the other one, I'd like to say that Mr. White is no longer here. If he were here, he comes out that this is propaganda. Well, I'd like to remind everyone that Mr. White right now has a website right now that his name is attached to it, offering upwards of 400% return on investment for casino-type scheming. And if we're going to toss around the term propaganda, I think it needs to be evaluated on both sides of the fence. So thank you.
Okay, is there any other comments? Okay, then we will adjourn. Thank you all. See you at the fair and all the other things that are going on.